Okay, we're back.
Okay, happy Christmas, y'all.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Wish y'all the best.
Christmas.
Hopefully full of presents and love, and hopefully you got families and not abandoned by your fathers.
Or Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Kwanzaa.
Happy holidays. Or just happy days off if you don't celebrate anything. Last week, we spoke about a few things. We spoke about Stranger Things, the Game Awards, Streamer Awards. Just kind of like a recap of a lot of the major events that we missed. This week, I did want to talk about, again, we're a bit late, but not too late. My Hero did end this season.
It's pretty late.
Well, regardless, it's still technically this season. So, but My Hero Academia did end. We kind of already know how it ended, but I kind of want to go over our thoughts as to the ending and how they approached it. I won't lie to you, like I didn't think about it, but My Hero Academia played such a big role. At least, not I wouldn't say like a super impactful role in my life, but it played an early role into my childhood, sort of, because I started watching it back in like high school. When that first season kind of came out.
14, 15 years old, I think.
Yeah.
I remember watching it at one of our friends' house, the first couple episodes.
Yeah, and then it's like, you don't realize, dude, it's after 9 years, it's finally the end of an era. They ended the story. I mean, just to kind of go into exactly what happened. So, as we know, again, spoiler warning if you haven't seen the show or the ending yet. And so Deku loses his powers. And just to go into like, I am going to talk about the epilogue chapter as well as the final chapter in the manga because it's also part of the episode. So in a way, Deku kind of felt, I don't know, in my opinion, when you got to see how it all wrapped up, Deku basically is now in his 20s working at UA as a teacher. Kind
of grew up with us.
He's sort of now in his 20s. He's now a teacher at UA. So he ends up going back to UA to be a teacher. And I won't lie, one thing you actually brought up a few pods ago was what's really weird to me is the timeline in which My Hero took place. Because I've read somewhere that like 80% of the show, 9% of the show took place over the course of a year. Because he's entering his second year towards the end of the show. You're
saying after that second year, then there's a time skip, which is where the epilogue is?
I think so, yeah. Which is what is really weird to me. I thought it was taking place over the course of like a few years, but then now that I think about it, that never happened. It was only the first year they were all doing all the crazy stuff.
I think both scenarios make sense. Like if it were to take course over their whole tenure at the high school, just because you'd be seeing them grow up. But like at the same time, with the type of villains, those villains were like, they're not going to just sit around waiting for 4 years. Like they're trying to get active and move. So then that's why the events happen in such a short amount of time.
I sort of get that, but I also feel like then Deku, then you're telling me that Deku had to not only get one for all, but also had to level up that ability alongside gaining 7 new abilities to then have to master before the big fight. But like, you see how much of a time constraint that is? Because it feels like, because you have to admit, it feels like past like all the seasons leading up until like the last season or last 2 seasons where he really gets all of his abilities. Dude, if that happened like so quick and so fast, how was he able to master everything in such an even shorter period of time?
I don't think it's a matter of how. I think he just like had to do it given the circumstances. Like he just had to figure it out. Same with everyone. Like there was an imminent threat, so then it was either sink or swim. That's at least how I see it. But I see what you're saying with the
because the year's crazy
timeline thing. Yeah,
that should not feel like a year. It felt like 2-3.
Yeah, but given like the fact that he specifically always got like healed up by a recovery girl, he could kind of just hop right back into it quick.
Oh, a lot of the time. You're right. They do have a bit. I mean, the universe I think allows you to recover that fast, so it makes sense actually. I will say that like the ending. Well, I get to the ending part of that epilogue, but basically, so 8 years have passed, right, from the whole war and everything. So basically, Deku is the only one out of all of his classmates that's not a hero, and he basically just teaches at UA.
Well, doesn't he still have the suit?
Well, no. Well, I can talk about that in a second. I'm just leading up to the events of that. And so he's the only one teaching at UA. He's doing it out of passion, and he's just in his mind, he's like he enjoys just inspiring the youth to pursue their goals, not just being a hero. To establish the universe a bit, 8 years have passed. The world is very different now. One of the things is there's actually less villains in the world now, and that's also due in part because Ochako started an agency to assist with counseling of younger kids, so that they don't feel like an outcast. That's because of Toga. You remember Toga? Yeah. So she didn't want what happened to Toga to happen to anybody else. So she decided to start her own agency to, help consult kids early on to establish who they are as people, and not just like, potential heroes or villains or whatever the heck. So now there's actually less kids in this new generation that want to use their powers to be heroes, and instead they want to use it for other endeavors like being a doctor, accountant, all the other stuff, right? So there's actually less of a demand for heroes now, which makes it very competitive to become a hero. So when he was in the UA program, they were like accepting everybody. Now it's like only the top of the class will become heroes. So if you're not hitting that threshold, you're basically booted. Now Deku himself, like throughout the ending as well as like the final chapter as well, Deku sort of acknowledges that ever since graduation, it's kind of bittersweet. He doesn't really see his friends anymore. He's very happy, but he doesn't really see them anymore because they're all fighting crime and they're official heroes, so they have things to do. They all have their own agencies. So they all have their own place where they work, and they hire people for like sidekicks and stuff.
That's just how it goes, yeah.
Yeah, no, but it's a bit of like, you have to admit though, seeing all your friends do something that you wanted to do, and then you're the only guy that doesn't do it, is kind of fucked.
Yeah, but you could argue that he's the reason that they're even able to do that in the first place, though.
I'm not saying he doesn't feel fulfilled. He also admits that he loves what he does, but he misses being a hero. But Deku's always been the type of guy, especially from the beginning of the show, where it never really felt like he cared as much. Like I think more so he valued just helping people as opposed to just having power. Because he never really had powers until All Might gave it to him. And even in the beginning, like when he saw Bakugo getting really early on, the first like 2 episodes or something, Bakugo was getting absorbed by that one monster. He just ran in running.
Yeah, he just wanted to help folks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think in Deku, I think he can really find the beauty in like teaching and contributing to society that way. And now, of course, during the chapter, you kind of just see Deku do his day-to-day task of like teaching, grading, X, Y, and Z. And then All Might is still around. All Might comes at the end of the chapter, also at the end of the episode, and he pulls up, and All Might basically reveals to Deku that he was in America for a long time. He was working on a new suit. All Might pulls up and he shows Deku this new suit. He's like, this is your chance to be a hero again. And my initial reaction was like, I don't know, because the way you were setting it up, it's kind of like Deku's in a way, he's still fulfilled, and he seems to be very at peace with his position now in life. But like, the suit just feels like, okay, now you just want to do like an extra one up. Like the author wants to really make sure like everyone wins at the end of the day. But I feel like Deku, part of the story is like Deku found his win through some other means,
which he's been doing for the last however many years.
Yeah, but that's
so it's like,
he's been doing it for a long time now.
It's not like he lost his powers and the next week he had a suit. Like he had to sit in this feeling of like his friends going, he has to be content with where he's at. It's not like he expected to ever be back out in the field again. And it was just like, now he's got an opportunity to do so, which was like that missing piece that he wasn't necessarily, he didn't necessarily need, but it was just a want from him considering he's had it before. That's at least how I'm seeing it.
I suppose it could be like something that he still thinks about, he still wants to do if he could. But obviously, he's still happy with his current decision in life. And I won't lie, before I continue, like the ending, the reason I'm saying it was like really kind of bizarre to me, obviously he lost his powers. A part of me feels like Deku always knew he was going to lose these powers. Because at the very end, Deku, like even post Shigaraki fight, ending, he's recovering. Just seeing in the hospital, just like the way the scene was portrayed, especially with Bakugo coming in and trying to see how he was doing. The first thing out of his mouth was like, "Did you lose your powers?" And like Deku was just like, "Yeah, I don't have my powers anymore." And it was just like, it was such a that was so crazy because like Bakugo like revealed so much like vulnerability there. It was kind of sad seeing Bakugo right after that fight, and he's in the hospital with Deku, just seeing Deku basically slowly die out in terms of his powers, because then Bakugo basically lost his rival.
Well, it was a callback to one of the first scenes, I think, when Deku initially got his powers. Bakugo was asking if he had powers or something like that, and he had like a completely different approach emotionally to it. Like he was more so angry about it or so, I don't remember, but now seeing him cry was like a good parallel.
Yeah, actually that's a good point, because I did feel like early on Bakugo felt like he was just pissed at the fact that like he knew Deku early on as a kid. They were friends, I'm pretty sure. So like I think he wanted Deku to be a rival, but then him not having powers was like, oh well, I guess they want to both be heroes, but one of them has the power and the other one doesn't. Seeing that being taken away from Deku at the end, because we also get to see, remember, during the whole year that they were working together, we actually saw that Bakugo actually does care about Deku and like the powers, and like he does care about him. But like, but then seeing him in the hospital, just because he was in tears, he was crying at the fact that Deku lost his powers, and then Deku starts to cry too. And it was just, that emotional moment kind of broke me a little bit, because I was like, "Damn, dude! Like this is how it ends? Like really? Deku has nothing."
I think the users of One For All said like he was gonna lose the shit or something. Like it was already implied
that's what I'm
early
saying.
on.
So that's why I was saying that Deku, I feel like he always knew. A part of the reason why I feel like the story really means a lot is because it really resembles life. It's like he knew he was gonna lose this one day, so he wanted to make the most of it and live out his dream before he lost it. And you could say that maybe that like also like resembles like life, where it's like sometimes we have things only for a short period, so we should take advantage and like really enjoy those moments because we're all gonna lose it one day.
So what exactly like made him lose the power though? Did he just use it like
So
like he used it to the full strength that it could be used, and then when you do that, then it just dies out?
So you know how I said like is My Hero gonna end with they're gonna end it with the power of friendship? Sort of, but not really. So I won't go into too much detail because I know you haven't seen that last episode, but essentially Deku's up against Shigaraki. Shigaraki gets possessed by All For One again, but Shigaraki's at the ropes. He's literally gonna fall. He's gonna die. Deku, in like a last effort, tries to save Shigaraki, but loses both arms in the process. So now he's armless. Motherfucker's on the ground like no arms. This is what, by the way, I swear to God, I still think to this day that Deku should have passed away because it would have been so epic to see
it would
that.
have been good.
And trust me, when you see that last episode, you'll totally get what I'm saying. But essentially, he gets a second shot, but he's able to regenerate both arms again. This is when all his friends come in. They TP'd in, and they started just to like synergize with each other to get Deku to Shigaraki because they all felt like he was the best bet. They're all injured, tired, weak, so they're all using their abilities to move him across the battlefield to get to Shigaraki. Because at this point, All For One's already taken over Shigaraki, so he's blowing up everything, trying to kill everybody. Deku maneuvers his way with the help of everybody, Bakugo included, and he gets to the end. And the end is basically he's right in front of All For One and Shigaraki, and that's when he just goes to like for his last One For All punch, basically, right?
Nice.
And he goes for the punch, but the punch is different because Shigaraki has switched sides, basically. But he's fighting off All For One, who's controlling his body. So the last end cutscene was basically like Deku gets to him, does the All For One punch. Then you see like another side of like Shigaraki where he's like punching downward. And because like in the middle you have All For One. So they're combining their punches to kill All For One. They do this, and then that's when like basically Shigaraki starts to die. Like he's just disappearing. Before he dies, he actually like looks at Deku because there's a memory because they're connected in a way. He looks at Deku before he dies, and he's like, "Do your best," and then he dies.
Nice.
Now, not a bad ending. I think it was a nice.
I think that's great.
I think as I'm saying, once you see it, you'll probably enjoy it a bit more. But it was a nice cherry on top ending. I do think though, like at least seeing Deku on the brink of death, having him die in that scene, that would have literally
I think that's
moved
the only
mountains.
That's the only better ending you could have given it.
I think so. I think he really should have died, and I don't think it sucks if he died, but I'm fine with him living too, because the ending wasn't necessarily the worst thing in the world, or at least how I thought it was going to be. So again, that's how it ended. And then going back to All Might comes in at the very end of the episode, also at the very end of the manga chapter, and he shows Deku the armor he's working on. This armor, by the way, it's basically Iron Man Infinity War armor.
I saw a clip
where like moves with him, like regenerate. It's like also highly advanced armor.
Nanotech stuff.
Yeah, people were also goofing on it as well, saying like, oh, he was given a toy, because it's like realistically, how good is that going to be? Because All Might like had armor against All For One, and he still lost. I don't think people realize like, dude, the armor that All Might had was 8 years older against All For One.
It was old tech. Yeah.
If it was 8 years older, and he did give All For One a run for his money, he didn't beat him, but he gave him a run for his money. Who's to say that 8 years of progress has not paved the way for new advances?
Also how you use it too.
And also, apparently, from what I heard, it has like multiple abilities and like multiple.
Yeah, isn't it like the same shit as the powers he had originally?
I'm not sure if it's the same shit, but I think it's heavily implied that it has a variety of those abilities.
Yeah, because the abilities he had prior,
speed, float,
like they were very basic.
They were basic.
Like they were very
together. They were broken, but they were basic.
Yeah, but they were very like the smoke screen shit. I think the most broken one was probably, I think the danger sense thing.
That was the best one. Dude.
Yeah, where he could like predict or sense that something was coming up, but like everything else was like very basic. There was strength, floating. Was there a speed one?
Yeah, well, the speed one goes back to the All For One, the One For All quirk, which is like you know, just being able to use power generated from all the users to like make him stronger or faster.
Wasn't there one where he had to like?
Oh yeah, it's the seven, but where he can charge up like a certain body part and then he'll like accelerate. That was another one too, which was it was the gear shift ability, which is like the most the gear shift was his best ability. Out of all the abilities he got, gear shift was the best one in my opinion. He can shift gears to turn up his level. So you know how there's like Super Saiyan with like, you know, Goku? He can do that. He could like shift gear, make himself stronger, faster, and like
So he had like a multiplier.
yeah, it's like a multiplier. What was sick about that ability too was that he could combine it with other parts of his body, but he could also combine it with other heroes. That's actually why you see the iconic Bakugo scene with him and Bakugo synergizing. Before he did that, he knew he was, because when you use the ability, someone has to take the hit. So he takes the hit.
He takes the hit as in Bakugo, or
basically like when you use gear shift afterwards, you take the hit afterwards.
So you're saying if like I were to throw a punch and then I use gear shift, throw another punch, I would be more tired from that second punch.
Yes, but you wouldn't feel it until after the gear shift is over.
Okay.
So you could gear shift yourself, do crazy amount of damage, and once the gear shift is over,
you're like extra fatigue.
There's recoil. There's recoil to it.
Refractory period.
Exactly. But so with Bakugo, he gear shifted so that when Bakugo came and he grabbed him, he could speed him up and generate more momentum and energy to pass on to Bakugo, which is why they were going at like a Mach speed. And when he threw him, he was like flying. He like TP'd over to All Might to save him.
That's cool.
That was a really beautiful scene. You'll love that scene when you watch it. Yeah, so he made the new suit. Deku, like that last scene in the anime, basically like puts on like the arm and like generates across his whole body. And then he's just sitting there like kind of smiling, kind of tearing up a bit. It was emotional, right? And then it kind of leads up to the last scene of the show. Dude, I won't lie, like Deku's basically Batman. Like he legit pulled up, he drifted his car.
I did see that.
He pulled up, drifted his car, and then he had like a suitcase in hand, and he saw everybody, Bakugo, and by the way, the entire class funded his armor. They all funded it. So Bakugo included, actually. He was the first one to start funding the armor. And so then he pulls up because there's a crime on site. There's a crime that happened. And he pulls up like Batman, literally like just fucking shifts gear, drifts his car, pulls up, walks out with a tux on, hair slick backed, and the fucking suit, and the suit in his hand. And then he looks, and then he sees Bakugo and his old class all there. Bakugo like reaches out his hand and he said, "Come on, let's go." And then he suits up and then they all fly in the air together to like go after the villain. It was must have been
a global threat if all of them were out there, bro.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Shit.
But I think it was a nice little touch to the ending, and that was in the anime. What preceded that was the epilogue, because they didn't really like finish off the fine details, which is why he released an epilogue chapter. So basically in the epilogue chapter, I want you to imagine a few things, right? Because they're not going to animate this. So basically, like, they're all heading over to a dinner. The entire class, they somehow all got together. They're all heading over to a dinner to celebrate Todoroki, because Todoroki is now basically rank 2. He just achieved rank 2 in the current era as a hero.
Who?
The first one's Mirio. That's a good question. Mirio is actually the rank 1 hero right now.
The invisible? Not invisible.
No,
guy,
Mirio, the guy who's a million.
Who could permeate through the shit. He did get his powers back, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, okay.
That was in the earlier seasons. Yeah, he got his powers back. So can I give you some context where some people are at? Mirio is number 1. Bakugo actually was rank 4 at one point, but then he dropped down to rank 15 because he like insulted like a reporter or something. Like he went after a reporter. And how the hero rankings work now is Hawk. He's like basically the head of that. They change how hero rankings work. It's not just about popularity and power. I think there's like a whole bunch of other factors to it, but like saving people is like the number 1 thing. So there's a lot of factors to being the number 1 hero now, not just simply being powerful. And again, that's just some context. So they're all heading over to this dinner to celebrate with Todoroki. Bakugo is basically driving Deku in his high-speed car. Deku's like sinking into the seat because the back seat of the car is made for like civilians. So like it's like a pillow. So like Deku's like basically inside of the seat at this point because Bakugo's going Mach speed. And this is where like Bakugo starts to ask Deku like, is he gonna start being a hero again? Like, is he gonna go hero full time? And Deku actually hits him with, nah. Like he said no. He said he doesn't want to give up teaching because he actually found passion in that. But he's going to use the suit to just collect data on occasion. It made Bakugo kind of sad because Bakugo actually apparently it was implied that Bakugo was actually going to ask Deku to join his agency, but he basically said no to him.
That would have been cool.
I think we'll see what happens with the story if they ever made like an OVA chapter or something. I was
going to say, they could probably make an OVA for that.
Yeah, because then who knows? Maybe something does happen where in the future they do end up working together again. Who knows? You never know. And then Baku starts to talk to Deku about just like how life has been, how like what has he been appreciating lately. And he made a comment about, he said to Deku, you should really stop treating everyone special, because then by giving that type of special love to everybody, you make nobody feel special. He was implying that Ochako is someone that he still hasn't decided to go for yet. And at least in this part of the story.
How old are they at this point?
It's 8 years have passed. So like if they're in their first year of high school,
Niggas
you can
selling.
imagine that's like what,
Holy
20.
moly.
No, you can imagine that's like what? If they were like, let's just say 16, 26. Or no, 24, 25.
5, yeah.
Which is like, that's prime age. That's prime age.
He's selling though.
I wish you could see him too. That boy looked like, Deku looks kind of clean though. Like he definitely looks like a modern day Bruce Wayne. It's like absurd. Everyone gets to the celebration. This is where like people are just kind of mingling. You're seeing the thoughts of everybody kind of fly by. And then we have Deku, who for whatever reason gets a flashback because he's enjoying everyone talking together. He gets a flashback of Shigaraki telling him to do his best. And then he starts to think to himself like he feels very fulfilled in life, and he feels like he's still missing something, right? He doesn't know what he's missing, but he feels like maybe he could be missing something he doesn't know. The rest of the story up to that point, they all get called in to save the day. Apparently there was like a robbery, so they all get their suits on and go after the person. And then as they're leaving, Deku starts to walk home. Ochako's walking down like a similar path, and they he ends up seeing Ochako. And then he starts thinking about the things that obviously Shigaraki said and also Bakugo said to him. They actually kind of show why Ochako hasn't made a move on Deku, because they also in the chapter Ochako just straight up says that it was nice seeing Deku again. I wish I was speaking to him more, and I'm still in love with him. Like I fell in love with him. And so apparently the reason behind her not wanting to speak to him is because Toga liked Deku. And so she felt guilty, especially after what happened with Toga and her. She felt guilty that if she were to act on her feelings, that she would betray Toga in a way. That's when Deku pulls up, shouts her name. Ochako like shouts to get a flashback of Toga, and Toga saying that it's like fine. It's like whispering in her ear.
Yeah.
And the scene basically shows Toga in a memory pushing Ochako to go get it. And then they end up like falling into each other. And that's when Deku basically says, in his way, in the corniest way, he's like, I want to spend more time with everyone, but I want to spend more time especially with you. And that's when it kind of like takes off from there. That's like the end of the story.
Nice.
It's not like a crazy ending to the story, but if I would have to put into words how I feel about it, there are some parts that are kind of like wobbly a little bit. I would still say overall the ending of the story, even though it got memed on for as hard as it was getting memed on, I think it was a pretty solid ending to the story.
Yeah, I think so.
From
what I know of it.
Like I think seeing Deku and how they portrayed him in the anime and the manga, he did well. I think the anime did it better. He did seem more fulfilled. Like he seemed like he was content with his situation. Still, I mean, you have to admit, like imagine doing something for like so long, something that you love and you cherish and you don't want to ever give up, and then you know that you have to give it up one day. If I had to give the story like an overall rating, honestly, I would say a solid. That ending was also crazy. I'm thinking like maybe 8.5, 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I think if you wiped your memory of it right now, watched it front to back, you'd be like, wow, that was like
A solid
stellar. It's just like, I think the only flaw or stain on it, if you want to even say that, is just like being an anime only. Going from like those mid seasons, like I think it was like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
6. Like it was like the there's the festival, and then there was like that training arc with like the classes, which was like not like it was bad, but it was just like very basic. There was a 3-4 year period where it was like, oh, my hero's fallen off, like my hero's washed. And then there was the whole vigilante arc where he went rogue, and then people were like, oh, this is like getting solid again. Because I remember they were a lot of people were upset about how that final war was starting with like the blue skies. They were like, oh, the animation's not good, and it was getting a lot of flack. But I feel like now with the last season, now it's people are satisfied with it.
I think as an anime watcher, it was a bit of a different experience. But also, when you look at the manga, the animation was really good last season. But the manga, I was looking at panels, dude.
Yeah, it's good.
Crazy.
It's good. It's really good.
Like he drew up some crazy detail, bro. Like Deku was more menacing in the manga. Same thing goes for like every other character in the story. Again, I still feel like Deku is a character. I kind of realized people tend to like shit on you for saying that you don't like a character, right? Like if I don't like Deku as a protagonist early on, people would just like hate on you. And even if you start to like him at the end, they hate on you for not liking him in the beginning. He's always been like this. You don't have to like any character off rip. He wasn't the most favorable in my head, but throughout the show, I sort of slowly started to get to know him a bit more.
He makes his case.
He makes his case, and then you start to justify liking him, and then eventually you love him. I think that's like what character development is.
Yeah, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Like same thing with Thorfinn too. I thought Thorfinn was like dope, like season 1, in terms of just his combat ability and what he could do, but like in terms of his character itself, like I wasn't fully sold on him until the end of season 2, and I was like, oh man, this is like my favorite.
Well, Thorfinn's an interesting case actually, because
character of like all time.
People had the reverse opinion. They felt like he had such great character development, and then people started like not liking the show because of the second season. But the thing is, that's how you know they didn't like him for character development. Well, that's a lie. There was character development in the first season, but it was literally mainly because it was associated with really crazy action scenes.
Yeah,
that's the only reason that they prefer it.
I feel like people who maybe are a bit more grown and have went through stuff like appreciate Thorfinn a lot more.
As a character, yeah.
As a character, like that season 2 version of him, at least. Like seeing what he went from season 1 to season 2, and where like he's going, hopefully into season 3. Like that's what I feel like. If you are a bit more mature and have experienced more, you're like, damn, that's good stuff.
Thorfinn just appeals to an older audience. He doesn't appeal to a younger audience. Well, at least the first season he did. Because younger audiences just love action to begin with. They love all that type of hype stuff. That first season was amazing. Second season,
like I feel like
it was just straight character.
I feel like Askeladd was the main guy season 1 in terms of like, wow, that's a good character.
Yeah, he's the prime example.
Yeah.
If anything, people won't get mad at you saying that you don't like Askeladd at first, but then he gets better. But then anime fans will get mad at you saying, oh, I don't like Deku first, but now I like him a lot. I think the best way to develop a character is not to even like heavily imply that they're good or bad. Just kind of have them exist in the world.
You know, it's a well-written character if you're like conflicted on how you feel about them.
Yeah.
In terms of like if you like them or not, because it's like I could sit here and say I like Askeladd, but then it's like he's also killed
so many people
for his own selfish reasons, and just like conquered villages and done X, Y, and Z. But then it's like we see his one-on-one interactions with people and his values with certain things, and you're like, maybe he isn't that bad. He's just like in a situation where he has to do certain things. Like, and it makes you feel like it throws you in all different directions. I feel like that's what shows a well-written character. Same thing with like an Eren Yeager too.
Oh yeah, Eren's a good example.
Half the community agrees with what he did. Half of the community doesn't agree with what he did, and then there's like another sector of them, they just think he's a pussy.
Really? That's the comment section. I think that's like what Deku was missing, in my opinion. Not that I think he needed it. I think for the story it made sense. But like Deku's whole character was like, he was a very kind-hearted soul. I can never see Deku being like the bad guy once. If he had to, if he was forced to.
I think Deku made his intentions clear from episode 1.
Yeah, exactly. Like he knew he wasn't going to be the bad guy. But like that's what I kind of enjoy about a character, is like not about wanting to be a bad guy. It's about when the choice is in front of you, you have to make a decision. What are you going to do? What happens if both options lead to the bad route?
Yeah, it's like
but for him, it's like he's like, I'm gonna think of a third route, which is cool. But I think it's a lot more interesting to just see a character like in their world make mistakes, decide whether or not it was a mistake, and just seeing them kind of go through life that way, as opposed to just being like, I'm a good guy, I'm never gonna do X, Y, and Z ever. Those choices force you to like decide on what's the better option. Monster's like the perfect example, because in the beginning of the story, he didn't know, but really, like, what ends up happening is, like, he basically allowed somebody to live, and he ended up becoming Hitler. Not literally Hitler, but, like, basically a monster.
Synonymous.
Yeah. And now at the end of the story, he gets that decision one last time. Would he let him continue to run free, or just fix the mistake he made? And then you find out what his decision is. And it's like, that's, like, the best type of character development. Because it's like, you don't know what they've gone through over X, Y, and Z number of years to have their mind completely shift to a whole new ideology until you see it unfold on the screen. But like with Deku, that there's not really even any time for that. It took place over the course of a year, so it's not like it was going to be a massive character development. So he was going to be stuck that way regardless on how they were going to end the story, which is why I knew they weren't going to kill anybody at the end. I don't think he's comfortable. The author's comfortable with killing people on My Hero Academia. He sort of likes edging himself, bro, because he'll get to the edge of almost killing someone and then just let him live.
Oda kind of does that too a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Just like when Luffy beats the brakes off of these villains and then we see them in Impel Down.
Well, for him it makes sense because Luffy never goes with the intent to kill, which doesn't look like it sometimes when he's going maximum gear.
I don't know.
Like
when there's a meteor-sized fist pummeling down on niggas. I mean, it looks like you're trying to flatten them to me. I don't know.
Well, they never really show like when they go after like sailors and stuff. Remember, it's also a kids show, kids manga, so I think he's aware of that. Because
Maybe it started that way, but
yeah, well, I guess it's gotten a bit darker. Well, because remember too, like you know how like they would fight like big crowds of like Marines. No one's dead, to be honest with you. They're all just injured somewhere. Like none of them are actually.
that's what I'm
dead.
saying. He's got to start killing folks. I'm serious.
No, but Luffy's group is a bit different because they're not like other pirates. Other pirates kill everybody. So that's pretty much insinuated. But like with Luffy, him and his team don't kill anybody. They don't really try to, at least. Like who was the last person that died by them?
Zoro comes at niggas with 3 swords, full speed ahead, and then slices through them.
They always live though. Maybe they're prepared for the hit. Well, what I'm thinking is like Zoro clearly doesn't go for the killing blow.
You're out of your mind if you think that.
It doesn't look like it.
Did you see the scars he left on Rob Lucci? Like those are critical wounds. He should have been dead. I'm serious.
No, was it King when he fought King? I'm thinking about it now. The fact that they had a scene with King just patching up, like catching himself up, and I was like, dude, Zoro literally moved the entire earth around him, floating in the air, just to one shot him.
He's not dead. Should have died brutally.
So I get what you're saying, but what I'm figuring is that
if Luffy's not gonna kill dudes, at least Zoro should be. No. Zoro should have at least 5 bodies by now.
What I'm figuring is that Zoro last minute like sheaths his blade.
No. No. What are you saying? No.
It goes so fast we don't see it. If there's one guy that can pull it off, it's him. Also, remember too, just like how like you could argue like Mihawk when he fought him. Like he could have killed him, but he cut him enough for like a decent size like injury, and maybe that's what Zoro does with everybody he fights.
Maybe, but like,
is it not hard for Zoro to be like, you have no chance of winning, so I'm gonna spare you, but I'm gonna give you a taste as to what I can do. Like what?
Yeah, if we saw Luffy at one point say like, don't go killing folks, like we don't operate like that, then it's like, okay, I get it, like. They'll be like pulling their punches like last minute, but just like doing enough damage to have someone bleed out to the point of fainting or something like that. But it's like, at least with Zoro specifically, he looks like he is trying to
he has a lot more intent to kill.
20 pieces. As I just said, King's living comfortably somewhere, just bandaged up.
Yeah, and I'm
Rob Lucci's still alive. There's one nigga he should have killed. It was that guy.
Yeah, it was that guy.
Came back for round 2.
No, he came back.
He should have humbled him and ended him there. I think that would have been great.
What's so bizarre is that Rob Lucci, it was so weird. I guess you're right, actually. They literally, they plot armor the fuck out of this. Because when Luffy became Gear 5 up against Rob Lucci at the start of the fight, and I'm like thinking, like, they have to be pulling their punches. Luffy, like, instant transmission right in front of Rob Lucci, and the scene was just him with pure red eyes coming at him to one-shot him.
And obviously, Lucci has gotten stronger himself. These characters are durable.
Yeah, but there's intent to kill.
His intent to hurt badly.
Because that scene was like the most menacing thing in the world.
I don't think he expected to take him out with one punch there.
If Luffy's taking lightning from the air and throwing it at Kaido, how is there not an intent to kill? And then Kaido still lives.
Well, I mean, this is Kaido we're talking about, though.
Well, that makes sense. He's indestructible, but any character against Luffy has suffered a similar fate.
Take Big Mom and Kaido. They got sent to the core of the earth. I guarantee they're going to come up random chapter just digging themselves out of the fucking dirt, chilling.
Yeah, because I don't know why he's so afraid of killing off characters. And like I think maybe he's saving it for the very end of the story, where that's when everyone's going to start getting killed off. Because then people are going to be like, well, they killed Luffy's brother. That's more than enough.
That's the one flaw with the show. And I love the show. I mean, it's my favorite show. And you don't have to be blasting everyone off the map, but just like periodically gave us like a very impactful death, like ace level, perfect story. Because no one else, and I'm sure people are going to be dropping here and there, I hope, at the end of the story. But, like, then I feel like it's very cluttered. And I know it's going to be a big event. So with the scale of things, it makes sense. But, like, I don't know. It feels like he's indecisive on whether he wants to kill off people because he doesn't know if he's going to be using them later on in the story, which I get. It's a very, very long
story. That's a good point, actually.
Maybe
he's still, like, rough drafting it because he doesn't know who's going to stay, who's going to go.
Even with Kid, too, when Shanks iced him, I think he was like plummeted into the bottom of the ocean or something. Like he kind of got off screen a little bit. So it's like there's still the potential for him to make a comeback. Didn't Law get kidnapped or something?
No, he almost got kidnapped, but he got out.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, because remember Blackbeard,
Yeah.
he tried confronting Law, and Law like,
And then Beppo was like,
yeah, he was able to survive.
Yeah.
Man, like I guess you're right. Yeah, they really the Egghead. Yeah, the team didn't really kill anybody, but there were some deaths in the Egghead for sure.
Why is Kuma still alive?
I was thinking about that too.
Why is he still alive? And I know he's like brain dead, but I have a feeling they're just gonna reconfigure the nigga's wires and he's gonna be back to and like.
I think he will come back actually.
And it's like for Bonnie, cool. I guess that makes like good for her with the stakes that were there emotionally with the whole backstory thing. He should have saved her with the punch and then just died. Did Vegapunk die?
So Vegapunk, you're right. He did die.
Deceased. Like confirmed he's dead. Heart stopped working.
I'll let you watch the show, but I think it's a yes and a no on that question.
Because we know how that nigga operates. Maybe he
But
transferred his consciousness somewhere.
Because the thing is, his brain's not there.
What?
Like, you know, his like head,
His apple.
his apple.
Yeah.
His brain is not the apple. His brain's at the laboratory.
Okay.
And when they showed a scene where it was still there, like that no one destroyed it, nothing.
Oh, but so this physical body's dead. So
His
then
physical body's dead.
probably just gonna put himself in
Which I
different
assume
body.
he's gonna put himself in something, unless the government gets a hand of it.
Which is like for him, I get it, makes sense because because it was already shown that he had like 7 different iterations of himself, I guess you could say. So if that's like a fail-safe thing, if that body of his were to die and he was able to transfer his consciousness into a different body, then I get that. But like for everyone else, it's like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I just have a feeling that he's not gonna die, Julian. And honestly, too,
Just because of the great scientific mind that he is, like he holds so much information.
Yeah, I just
that's
don't think he's gonna
probably
die.
So critical to the story. It's like I get it, I guess.
They probably just got his brain somewhere. And well, here's what I'm thinking. Well, if that's the case, if Vegapunk does not die and he's still alive, it takes away from what Kizaru just did. Because Kizaru was like heartbroken by it, and actually in the last episode, you kind of see the aftermath of Kizaru and the shit he was going through.
I did see a screenshot of him crying.
Yeah,
something
like
that.
he was actually in pain for his decision. Like he hated it because I mean, he called him his best friend, like one of his closest friends. And it's like then they started showing the memories of him and Vegapunk, and like that doesn't hit as hard if he just wakes up the next day and he's just back up and running.
Well, Kizaru may be unaware of this though.
No, what I'm saying is it doesn't hit hard in the sense of like clearly if you're gonna flesh it out, like Kizaru learned from this, it was a big mistake, and maybe it wasn't a mistake, who knows? But it's like it's a lesson, and then like the next arc, he's just back up and running. It's like, dude, he's back up and running. Kuma's back up and running. None of the villains that were supposed to die, like Lucci or any, even like what's the guy's name? The guy with the nose. You know what I'm talking about? The giraffe.
Kaku.
How the fuck is he not dead, dude? Like, it doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
Like Lucci versus like Zoro doesn't make sense to me.
Because
I think
now
King
this
sweeps Lucci.
yeah, now Lucci gets too much credit because he went up against Zoro and Luffy and came out alive. So it's like
Oh my god, that's such a good point. I don't
so
like
it's
that
like
shit.
now he looks like a durable ass dude, which is like I disagree. I mean, he's not weak by any means. Zoro was already working him and he just had to evacuate because like shit was happening. But even in that moment, like he still gave him that final blow or whatever and took him out. He should just died.
But like he pulls back. He doesn't want to kill him.
No.
No, honestly, it makes sense because in the manga they're not dying either. Clearly, the One Piece crew have to be pulling their punches the last second.
No.
Dude.
It's not possible. Their life is in danger. Why would they do that?
Because they're just so strong, they know when to pull back. Oh, like they know when they know when they have a killing blow. I say this as Luffy, as you said earlier, creates a giant fist the size of Mount Rushmore and then plots on your body.
Yeah, and it's like
But I think that's just how the universe is. I don't think that's like necessarily trying to kill with intent to kill.
I don't know. I just know with Zoro and his moves, niggas should be in pieces. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Like,
No, you're right. Especially with how they plague Zoro as like the strongest guy, second to Luffy. How is he not one-shotting these people? It actually looks bad on his character if he's not killing Lucci. Lucci versus Zoro, fine. Let's just say Zoro, Lucci, like that fight was supposed to be made because they're roughly the same power level. But why would Lucci fight Luffy and Luffy? It makes Luffy look like a joke. I think you're right because it's like Lucci was able to hold his own against Luffy.
well, you could argue.
Which doesn't make any sense.
You could argue that Luffy wasn't taking that scrap seriously. The one with Lucci at
But you can't tell anymore because Luffy takes
Egghead.
every fight the same way. Not seriously.
No, I think you could tell.
No, you can't. Even up against Kaido, the motherfucker was doing Looney Tunes cartoon effects.
Yes, but like
He was not taking that
but
shit
like
seriously.
the way that fight progressed, it's like you could tell like Luffy had to come out on top here. It's like
He was grinning a few times as if he was enjoying the shit.
Because that's just Joy Boy's essence in him.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's taking this shit seriously.
But with the Lucci fight, it looked like he was just trying shit.
But
and he was doing the goggles thing, and like he was just like kind of toying with him. He had so much, like that fight kind of just spawned in, and I don't think he thought his life was in danger, because how'd that fight even end? He ran out.
He ran out, yeah.
Because he had to go somewhere or something. Yeah, I think they were just like boxing for fun. That's at least how I interpreted it.
But then that makes Luffy look bad, because you're telling me that like Luffy can pretty much fight another emperor at this point.
He has.
Or like he has the level of an emperor.
He is an emperor.
You're telling me if Luffy fought Kaido,
He gets stomped on.
right?
Easily.
So then if Luffy beat Kaido,
Granted, Luffy beat Kaido through trial and error and jumping him at first, because there were like 18 niggas on him.
yeah, but who has a better shot, Lucci or
What type of question is that?
Luffy at beating exactly, right? So you would say Luffy.
Yeah.
And so then it would make basically what the author's saying is Luffy somewhat rivals the power of Luffy, unless Luffy wasn't trying in that fight.
Luffy wasn't trying in that fight.
He wasn't trying, but that's like you can't tell. That's what I'm saying, because they haven't shown us a fight where Luffy. Yes, you can see the Kaido fight. He was trying. I mean, I'm sure if you're pulling lightning from the sky, you have to be trying. I also think like he didn't kill with intent, and also at the very end, we don't know if Luffy was really trying or not. Because the whole time he looks goofy as hell.
He does look goofy, but if you take his fight against Lucci, fight against Kizaru, fight against the Elders, it's like I feel like you could see the difference in like the scale of the abilities that he's doing and like how he's attacking them.
Bro, the fight with the Elders,
Like the fight with
this man was like traversing the landscape, like doing squiggles as he was going out. His eyes were popping out. I don't think it was that serious.
That's just him being evasive.
Why are you trying to justify everything he does?
Because that's just what it was. That's how he. That's how he defends himself.
No, but the effects of it all, like he got put on fire and he was just screaming. He was like, and it's like
the fight against Kizaru, like he.
Let me ask you: if you're on fire, are you saying,
If I have Tomb Force, nigga, yeah.
So stupid.
I mean, seriously, like the fight against Kizaru, he turned to like a Titan size thing, and he was grabbing and like it was. He's not doing that for Lucci.
Yeah, but that's like fun shit.
He was having fun with Lucci.
Yeah, but I think that's just him testing. That's just him pushing the extent of his powers, I guess.
And that was also his first Gear 5 after Kaido, so maybe he was just practicing.
I don't know. A lot of shit happened in that fucking arc. I mean, okay, even then, right? Whatever. Let's just say it still proves my point that like, okay, at the end of the day, it still makes like Luffy look somewhat bad. But obviously, we can all pretty much know that he's not gonna lose a fight against Lucci. There's just no way. And then the ending was like, obviously Vegapunk. Hopefully they keep him like dead. I'd rather him not come back to life. But they kind of implied it. What was cool about the episode was going back to Joy Boy, the string thing. So that was our first look at Joy Boy, of him ever existing to begin with. Like we can see a physical embodiment of who he is. Now you know how like that theory I spoke to you about, whether or not it's like, is Joy Boy like an angel, Emu's like the devil? I guess it's kind of out the window, because Joy Boy is like, you could see he's like a physical actual person in that flashback.
It could be symbolized, like it could be
symbolized, yeah. Like I still think we're dealing with demonic things. I don't know. I guess it doesn't completely take away from my theory of like it being demonic and like Emu being a devil. Stuff. I'm talking about like seeing Joy Boy the way he was. It makes me think like, okay, maybe it's not an angel versus demon, but I still think Emu's like a demon or something.
I saw someone say that there was like a theory that Joy Boy was just Luffy from the future or something like that.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know what it could be at this point, because it's a pirate world, so you think they're gonna keep it still pirate fantasy. Imagine it goes like a million years in the past and it's like modern day Tokyo. And you see like Emu like walking around as he's someone that lives forever. Imagine it's just some crazy shit like that, where it's like complete Utah. Because my argument was there's some value in that. There's some validity in that theory, mainly because when you look at the story, it seems like based on all the buried ruins and all the things that all the hints and all the kind of Easter eggs that we found, the society before them felt way more advanced. If that was the case, like you had mentioned, where it's like, I think that would make sense, because this society, it does seem like, especially like in the world they were living in, they had walking robots, and we know Vegapunk is basically the only one at the moment that could create some shit like that right now. So how are they able to have walking robots from the old age, the lost age?
That would be crazy if that nigga was.
Does it not make you think though?
If that, I just don't know how that would work time travel wise.
Why was there a fucking robot? I don't understand. Why was there a robot back then in that time when they weren't even close to being as
Do we
advanced?
know where the poneglyphs came from?
I'm pretty sure. I think Joe Boy made them and dispersed them.
Damn. So what if it was some shit where it's like some shit from the future just got like blipped to the past?
Dude, that would be crazy. No, I swear to
So
God,
then
that
it's
would be
like,
crazy.
so then like when he was feeling that hockey, the reason why Luffy had that expression was just because it was like himself, like his own hockey, or like a very familiar feeling. Type
No,
of
that
hockey.
wouldn't make any sense, dude. I wouldn't even know how to feel. Like if he pulled a plot twist like that. Like I would not know how to I would
Nigga,
be
that would be-
indifferent. I don't think I would be for or against it. I would literally be in the middle.
That would be so crazy, yeah.
Crazy eye opener. But I don't think they would do that. I think I kind of agree with the idea of like it does beg the question, why were they so advanced back then? Unless it was a situation where they were advanced and they lost, like, which we know there was a war and they lost all their technology and it reset the whole world. That's what I assume happened. They were already so advanced, but the world got reset. We also know that the elders used the eternal flame, that like long lasting flame, to power the fucking ancient weapons. What's cool is, like, I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's a little part where Vegapunk shows his perspective in the past 2 weeks, like for 2 weeks in a row, and it reveals a lot. Like you actually start to realize that Vegapunk was a lot smarter than we actually gave him credit for. Like he did a lot of shit that we don't even know until you watch that episode. Also, seeing Joy Boy though, I guess you're right. It could be something where it's like his hockey's familiar to Luffy. Well, that also makes sense because Luffy inherited the fruit.
Yeah, it makes
But we
sense.
also don't know where fruits come from, and we know what they come from. But the question is, we don't know the origin of fruits in the sense of, was Joy Boy and Emu were they the first two that, like, basically, well, not Emu, but like, were they the first two like that spawned in their fruits? Like when they died, is that when the fruits especially started like spawning in? And it's like, is that the case or no? And like we know that they're based on people's like aspirations, their dreams, their values, right? So it's like, I don't know, like we don't know any of this. Like it just hasn't been revealed.
It's very interesting.
And then we know now the world is set to sink. Like that's like the prophecy. And then it explains a lot too, because for a lot of seasons we would see like ancient, like we would see ruins underwater.
Yeah.
Like all these things, like
Like in Wano too, the first original city, I think, of something.
it's gone.
Yeah.
And it makes you think like, why is this the case? And what was existing there and how advanced were they? Like in Wano, when they went down to see the poneglyph, because it was in the city that sunk. I wish they explored that city more. Well, Oda has showed those things in the episodes, but he's never shown, like he's never been like zoomed in on it. He's never allowed us to like peek into it, or like there was never an episode where there was a reason to go to one of these buried ruins. And also we know that during Joy Boy's time, with the poneglyph being underwater, that means that during Joy Boy's time, all of that was land, which is crazy. Because now if the prophecy is like everything's going to go underwater, how do you prevent that?
One Piece.
Is it the One Piece? And also at the very end, we see that Vegapunk, like, yeah, in the video, he basically said like the One Piece is real. The only ones that know the truth, the full truth, was like Goldie Roger and his second in command.
Rayleigh.
And so they're the
Why
only
doesn't
one.
Rayleigh just snitch or something?
That's what I'm saying. Like they're the only ones that know what's there. If the One Piece is something that would change the world, why didn't Goldie Roger or Rayleigh like capitalize on that?
I don't know.
And it's something that will like impact the entire world based on what Vegapunk's saying in the video. It's something that would change the course of his whatever. It's like everything will be revealed there. So why did Goldie Roger?
There has to be a reason. I'm assuming.
Why did they not act on the information, the item? Why not?
I'm assuming it has to do with Luffy.
That's what I'm saying.
And just Joy Boy, considering the fact that they did laugh at it, maybe it was something that they laughed because like they took this whole journey and they were laughing out of like they were just dumbfounded because there was nothing they could do with the information presented in front of them because they weren't like they aren't who Luffy is, like Joy Boy related or whatever the fuck.
I guess you could say maybe it's something, it's something related to Joy Boy, and they were like, damn, so we're not the chosen ones.
Yeah.
And we took this whole ass trip just to see if we are the chosen ones, but we're not.
Maybe Rayleigh just isn't saying anything because it's something that Luffy has to come find out on his own through like his adventure, trial and error, and realizing who he is, because him telling him will probably not do anything for that process. Like he has to be the one to take the journey.
Yeah, then he gets to the end of the story, and then damn, dude, but like what? I mean, we can sit here and theorize for like hours, but like, what is the One Piece, dude? Like, if it's something that made Goldie Roger laugh, and the One Piece didn't exist, but the One Piece, well, quote unquote, it did exist, I think. Goldie Roger was the one that introduced the One Piece, right? That's what he called. He was the one that made it official, right? Like they gave it the title. Like, what would make Goldie Roger laugh? If it's, I don't think it's gold, and I certainly don't think it's any one item. I think it has to be like a note. Or like an engraving on like a stone or something.
I think it has to be something that only Luffy would understand, or like again be able to interpret differently than everyone else.
No, but then why would Rayleigh feel so strongly about it in the sense of like letting Luffy go on this journey and figuring it out himself? Like, why would he feel so strongly about that if he didn't know that it held value in some way? Because you're saying that he didn't understand it. Maybe it's something that only Luffy understands.
Well, no, maybe he understood that like a specific type of person has to like be the one to find what this is. Like, say it's like a fucking loot crate or something that only Luffy could open up for whatever reason. He knows what it is, and he knows that they weren't the ones that were chosen to like be able to open it, but that's the extent of his understanding.
No, I get it. I get it. Well, remember too, Vegapunk also said in the video, he said the One Piece, like Goldie Roger found the truth. Like, how would he know that though? He gave credit to Goldie Roger, but how did he come up to the idea? How did he come up with the idea that Goldie Roger found out the truth of the world? But again, regardless, like Joy Boy, going back to him, because the robot, what happened was that the robot and the Joy Boy was saying like the robot was sad because he knew that one day Joy Boy was gonna die. He had said to him like, "Are we still gonna be like friends? Are we gonna still be able to hang out?" And then Joy Boy looks at him and says like, "I'll always be around because I'll make sure you have a piece of me." So Joy Boy legit said, I'm gonna tie a knot. I'm gonna give it to you. You're telling me that Joy Boy, for what, is able to put all of his hockey, or like a lot of it, into a knot, an object? I didn't know that was possible.
Like imbues the object with hockey.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
But is that a thing?
I guess it is now, unless that's what the fruits are.
Because legit, he was told like, just untie that knot and I'll be there with you. And the robot, that's what the robot did. He untied it and then, dude, but that shit was knocking out everybody. No, like whoever Joy Boy was, actually criminal. And it also fucked with the elders too.
Well, maybe he could also only do that because of the type of fruit Luffy has. Like, you know how he could just like manipulate reality? Like maybe he could just like release hockey and then just like grab the hockey and just like,
dude, how busted was this guy? How busted was this guy actually? Because now I think about it,
like he is the author of the story.
He is the author of the story, right? Maybe, I don't know.
That'd be crazy. Otis Joy Boy, nigga.
Otis Joy Boy, dude. Like, no, but dude, again, it's just like there's so many mysteries with Joy Boy, and like them showing like an actual figure, it definitely gives me like a better idea. This is so annoying because this is how he operates, bro. This is literally how Oda does this. Like, he'll just tease us. He'll give us like a building block, and it's not even close to being finished. Like Joy Boy, okay, we have a picture of him now, but it's not like a face. We can't see his silhouette. But it's like we see this now, and it just puts a whole bunch of new ideas in our head. And also, he's talking to the robot, so we know that he must have been close with the robot during that time. But again, we didn't get much detail as to who the robot is, why he has a consciousness.
Yeah, I was going to say,
how was he built?
I was going to say the fact that the robot has a consciousness in the first place.
Tells me that they're very advanced.
Pretty advanced technology.
It has to be advanced technology.
Detroit become
because
human
the only ones that could do that, dude, maybe you're right. Maybe this shit's from the future, bro. Because the only ones that could do that is Vegapunk. Because he's the first one to show that he moved his consciousness to 7 other beings. But it also, it's not their own. Well, it is their consciousness, but it's mixed with his, so it's like combined of two. If he's doing shit like that, how are they able to do it back then? Unless they were way more advanced than Vegapunk is right now.
It's like there's Zunisha too,
the elephant, the ancient one, the one of
who also remembers Joy Boy. Yeah, so I'm thinking just like how that type of creature was living in a futuristic society, if there was one.
Damn, dude. I'm just curious what the world looked like.
Yeah.
Like, was it like futuristic? Like there was flying cars, cities, moving cities across the oceans? Because if you think about it, how are you able to make advanced ancient weapons of mass murder and destruction without being advanced? You know?
I agree.
Nah, let's not add time travel to this shit, dude. Like, because once you add time travel, the story's gone. It's lost. You can't justify it. Because how could you justify time travel, dude? It's a whole mess. And like, especially now, so like they finally got to Elbaf. What could they possibly tell us, bro? At this point, do you know what One Piece feels like to me now?
What?
I'm just waiting for the big reveals. Like the fights are cool.
Well, I mean,
The intimate time between characters is like less now.
We've gotten to a point where it's just like it's sort of just starting to unravel.
Like that's what it has to be now. These last 2 seasons,
it's getting a lot of answers.
I don't. There's not really much now that they can like surprise me with. I think like
I think there's
no. I'm saying like before the big reveals, like there's no other story. You can't just do like you can't add like another plot to the story, bro. This is like too deep. Like I actually read somewhere that Elbaf is the start of season 2. I think that's how I'm gonna pitch. I think that's how I'm gonna pitch it to people now. Yo, bro, you should watch One Piece. How many seasons? 1. It comes back in April. People are already starting to kind of comment about it though. Like people are complaining about like the 4-month wait period and then how we're only getting 36 episodes, bro. But no one ever does the math on this shit.
It's episode a week.
It's literally 9 months of episodes.
Episode a week.
And then we get 3 months off.
Yeah.
Or at most maybe 6. For you to give me consistent gas, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's completely fine.
We'll be back.